All right, guys. So now we're going to be talking about signs, signals, and pavement markings. For those of you who do not have your permit yet, definitely pay attention to this video. Take any notes that you need, commit it to memory, because it's going to be important for you for your permit exam. And then for those of you who have their permit, it's going to be important for you while you're out on the road.
When you're behind the wheel, your job as driver is to pick out information that will help you arrive safely at your destination. There are hundreds of images along the roadway that help you find your way. Most come in the form of traffic control signs, signals, and lane markings. Recognizing these can give you advance notice of changes ahead, such as merges, reductions in speed, or upcoming intersections. Knowing what they mean allows you to anticipate and react to changing traffic conditions so you can drive more safely. This video is based on the national standards that cover most traffic situations. However, to handle unique circumstances, each highway agency may create its own signs, signals, and lane markings. This video will show the underlying rules and logic behind traffic signs, signals, and lane markings, and why they are important to you. Signs provide a driver with a lot of useful information. The shape and color allow.
All right, guys, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to write this down or commit it to memory. Black, white, and red signs are regulatory signs. Black, white, or red signs are regulatory signs. All right. I want you to write down the word regulatory, and then I want you to do it equal rules. So regulatory equals rules. So what typically happens when you break a rule? Right? If you don't come in when your parents tell you you're past curfew, you get in trouble, right? If you're using your phone at school and they tell you there's no phone in the classroom and they have that as a policy, you get in trouble, right? So what is a consequence of not following black, white, or red signs? That means you can what? You can get a ticket. And what happens when you get a ticket when you have your permit? Your 9 months starts over, all right? What happens when you receive a ticket when you have your provisional? Your 18 months starts over. So remember, black, white, and red signs are regulatory signs. And if you do not do what is on a black, white, or red sign, you can find yourself receiving a ticket.
Allow the sign's meaning to be recognized even from a distance. For example, both the shape and color of this sign tell you to stop. As a rule, the color red indicates stop or conveys a significant prohibition. Black and white signs provide regulatory information. Their placement also marks where the regulation goes into effect. For example, this end school zone sign indicates when it is safe to return to the posted speed limit. Accelerating when you first see this sign violates the law. You must wait until you have passed the sign before you can accelerate. Violating any regulatory or prohibition sign can...
All right, right here, you can't necessarily see the speed limit, but right here is a speed limit sign. So this is what I need you to know about speed limits. Speed limits are absolute, okay? Let's say, for example, you are driving down the road and up the road, you see a speed limit. Right now you're driving and the speed limit is 35 miles per hour. And you look ahead and it's going to increase to 55. Well, here's the thing. You cannot increase your speed until you pass that 55 miles per hour speed limit sign. All right. So this person right here, chances are they increased their speed because they saw that it was about to go up, but they're still in the lower speed zone. So again, you're driving 35. You see a speed limit ahead, say 55. You start increasing your speed, but you get in trouble because you did not wait until you pass that speed limit sign. All right. So you have to wait till you pass that speed limit sign to increase your speed. Now let's flip it. Let's say we're going 55 miles per hour and we look ahead of us and we see a speed limit sign that goes to 35. Well, you better drop your speed all the way down before you pass that 35 speed limit sign. Because if you're still going 55, when you pass that 35 miles per hour speed limit sign, you are now in the zone of 35 miles per hour. And that's how you can get a ticket. Why? Because it is a black and white sign. And what are black and white signs? Regulatory. Regulatory signs equals rules.
Get you into serious trouble. Yellow signs provide warnings. They alert you to curve.
All right, I want you to write this down. Black and yellow signs are warning signs. Black and yellow signs are warning signs. They're also called advisory signs. Now, these signs you don't get a ticket for. They're there kind of like your best friend to tell you what's going on with the road ahead. So with a speed limit sign, which is black and white, it is telling you, you better go that speed. But whenever you see a speed sign and it's black and yellow, it is just a suggested speed. So what it's saying is, hey, as you're turning this corner, even though your speed limit is 45, we suggest you go 20 in order to not slide off the red road, crash into this car, or crash into a tree, or crash into someone else. So again, black and yellow signs are warning signs. They are just advising what's going on with the road ahead.
Curves, speed limit changes, crossings, slippery roads, and other conditions where a little warning goes a long way. Yellow, diamond-shaped warning signs might also appear before prohibition or regulatory signs to warn you of a change. An orange sign tells you you're in a construction zone. A symbol usually found on signs of other colors or shapes can sometimes show up on an orange sign. This conveys the same information, but with the additional warning to be extra cautious. Look for black and white regulatory signs to state the law, but consider
When it comes to construction zone signs are orange, but the thing that you need to know about construction zone signs is if you go speeding through a construction zone, your ticket is going to be doubled. So if you're speeding on a regular road and they pull you over and they give you a ticket for $100, it's $100. But if you're speeding and you're going through a construction zone, that it's going to be doubled. So that means that ticket would be $200.
the orange signs a warning to be extra alert. Begin to slow down to the reduced speed limit before you enter the zone. Follow the directions of lane change arrows, shoulder work ahead signs, changeable message signs, and be alert for no shoulder and bump signs. By slowing down in construction zones, you not only lower your risk, you also increase safety for highway construction and maintenance workers, dozens of whom are killed each year by motor vehicles passing through construction zones. Conditions can change rapidly in construction zones, so when the signs say slow down, slow down. Green signs tell you the distance or directions to cities, alternate routes, or other destination information. Blue signs provide service-related information, such as where to find food, lodging, and gas. Brown signs tell you.
All right, let's go back to that real quick.
Green signs tell you the distance.
All right, so green signs are destination signs, right? They are telling you the destination point, all right? Whether it's a street sign or they're telling you Ocean City, Maryland is 376 miles, those are destination signs.
Or directions to cities, alternate routes, or other destination information. Blue signs provide service-related information.
Blue signs are guide signs. You typically see them on highways. They guide you to food, guide you to hotels, guide you to a hospital. So think of blue signs as guide signs.
Such as where to find food, lodging, and gas. Brown signs tell you of a recreation facility such as a park, campground, fishing site, or boat launch. Now let's look at some regulatory and warning signs that are frequently misunderstood or convey special meanings. Let's start with reduced speed and curve signs. Slowing down to the advisory speed before entering the curve helps you navigate it safely and smoothly. A 90-degree arrow means the upcoming turn is sharp and the speed for safely navigating the turn is posted. A curved arrow indicates a more shallow turn. You may still need to reduce your speed depending on weather conditions. Chevron alignment signs guide you through curves where the roadway may be obscured. Follow the series to stay on the road. Several regulatory signs deserve special attention. Yield signs and entrance or exit ramp signs tell you to adjust your speed and look for a safe merging opportunity. Traffic on the highway and exiting vehicles have the right-of-way over incoming and merging traffic.
All right, notice he said people who are coming onto the highway, they have to either speed up to get in front of us or slow down to get behind us. I want you guys to think about this because your instructor is going to talk about it after the video. Why do you think the people who are on the highway have the right of way? That means, why do you think the people who are on the highway do not have to stop and let the people getting on the highway on? Why do you think the people who are already on the highway do not have to stop to let the people who are merging on to get on the highway?
Unless absolutely necessary, avoid stopping on the ramp when merging. Restricted access lanes are marked with black and white regulatory signs containing a white diamond. There's usually a white diamond painted on the roadway as well. This sign indicates a restricted lane.
All right, so whenever you see these lanes, these are HOV lanes, okay? High occupancy vehicle lanes. What does that mean? That means if myself, Miss Christian, and Mr. Joe all decide, you know what, we want to save on some gas, let's carpool, let's ride together. So I pick them all up. I pick up Miss Christian from her house, I pick up Mr. Joe from his house, and then we drive together. When we get on the highway, we are rewarded for not having 3 cars on the highway, instead just 1. So we have a special lane that we get to drive in. Notice it is a black and white sign. It is a regulatory sign. What does that mean? It is a rule. So that means if it says this is a restricted lane and it tells you how many people you can drive with in this lane, if I'm driving by myself and nobody else is in the car with me and I'm thinking I'm going to get away with it, guess what happens? They take a picture. And when they see that there's only one person, they send that ticket in the mail.
For specially designated vehicles. Do not enter a restricted access lane unless you qualify to be there. If you need to make a turn across such a lane in city traffic, enter at the last possible moment, a half block or less from the turn. HOV stands for High Occupancy Vehicles. Only vehicles with the required number of occupants may travel in HOV lanes. Signs will indicate.
So here's a perfect example. It's a black and white sign, which means it's regulatory. It is telling us that you need to have at least 2 people in your vehicle. The number 2 is also orange, which is letting me know that, hey, there's also going to be some construction going on in that area.
The minimum number of occupants, as well as the times when the restriction is in effect. HOV lanes may also have a diamond painted on the roadway. And pay particular attention to signs and signals for reversible lanes. These lanes are used to move traffic in one direction for a period of time, then in the opposite direction during another point of time. The signs tell you the correct direction of traffic and when the direction changes. However, stay alert. Don't assume that the opposing drivers are paying attention. Now let's look at some unique situations that require special signs. Tunnels usually have specific traffic control signs, such as minimum and maximum speeds, prohibited cargo, and the appropriate use of headlights or sunglasses. The signs you see when approaching a toll plaza tell you how far away the plaza is, what the safe approach speed is, and which lanes are for cars and trucks, and other useful information. In the United States, there are nearly 100,000 railroad crossings that are not equipped with gates or signals. It's important to be cautious when approaching any railroad crossing. If a railroad crossing does not have flashing lights and barricades, slow down and look both ways before crossing the tracks. Each year, hundreds of people are killed in collisions between motor vehicles and trains. Remember, it's difficult to accurately judge the speed of an oncoming train, and trains cannot slow down for you. For your own safety and the safety of others, it's important that you observe, understand, and follow all cautionary and restrictive signs when approaching a tunnel, toll plaza, or railroad grade crossing. These situations are well marked because there is very little room for error. Next, we are going to look at non-vehicular signs. Most of these signs refer to pedestrians and bicyclists. Walk, don't walk signals tell pedestrians when it's permissible to cross. If you're turning into their path, you must yield the right-of-way to them in this situation. Stop before the vehicle stop line or crosswalk painted on the roadway. Be prepared to stop for any pedestrian who enters a crosswalk, and learn to expect and to stop for pedestrians not in crosswalks. Your caution could save a life. A warning sign is often placed ahead of the crosswalk, so you have.
So the difference between these two, remember, they're black and white. They're black and yellow, which means they're warning you about something ahead. But what's the difference between these two? Think about it. This one is warning you of pedestrian crossing on a crosswalk, and this one is letting you know pedestrian crossing.
Adequate warning of the crossing zone. Another warning sign is placed at the crosswalk itself. The lines on the sign indicate the close location of the crosswalk markings. Whether you are in a residential neighborhood or at a busy intersection, be alert for inattentive pedestrians, especially children who are less predictable. In school zones, signs tell you when to reduce your speed.
All right, this is a bonus question. This is a bonus question. If you are in the Zoom class, you are going to answer it in the chat. Okay. If you are in the in-person class, you are going to raise your hand and your instructor is going to call on you. Can somebody tell me what type of sign is this? Again, if you're in the Zoom class, you're going to place it in the chat. And if you're in the in-person class, your instructor is going to call on whoever raises their hand, so don't blurt it out. Instructors, at this moment, you can pause the video so that you can get people's answers, all right? All right, the answer is, it is a warning and a regulatory sign. So it is warning you. It's saying, hey, guess what? Wake up, look, I need you to be alert. You're about to go in a school zone. And then the sign below it, which is a warning, then the sign below it, it's a regulatory sign. And it's saying, and you better not go over 15 miles per hour. Because if you go over 15 miles per hour, you're going to get a ticket. So it is a combination sign. See how easy it is? Signs talk to you, right? The language of the road, they speak to you, okay?
And when it's safe to increase it again. Wait until you pass the end school zone or speed limit sign before resuming your speed. Finally, animal crossing signs tell you to slow down and look out. Animals behave unpredictably. For example, deer freeze when they see headlights, so be extra cautious when you see an animal crossing sign, especially at dawn or dusk when wild animals are more likely to be present. When driving, be sure to use both the sign's shape and color to obtain important traffic safety information. Some of the most important information you see on the road is in the form of traffic signals. Traffic signals control the flow of traffic at intersections. Throughout the United States, you may turn right at a red traffic signal after you have come to a complete stop, unless prohibited by a sign or signal.
In Maryland, you are allowed to turn right on red. First, you have to come to a complete stop behind the stop line. Look in all directions for pedestrians and other vehicles, and look to see if there's a sign. If there's a sign that says no turn on red, then you cannot turn. But if there's no sign and you've stopped fully and you've looked around to make sure there's no pedestrians and no vehicles, then you can safely make that turn. Now, here's the thing. If you're a new student driver and you still haven't mastered making turns, don't force yourself to go out there and make that turn while cars are coming, okay? Just wait until the light is green. If people start blowing their horn or whatever, it's okay. Breathe and ignore them. When people blow their horn at me, I just feel like I'm Beyonce and they're paparazzi. You understand what I'm saying? Because if they want to go around, they literally can go down the ditch, drive right around you, but they're not going to do that. They don't want to ruin their car and they don't want to get hurt. Your goal is to get to and from your home or your destination in one piece.
As you turn right on red, Watch out for pedestrians and cross traffic from the left. You must yield the right-of-way to pedestrians. If a traffic signal turns yellow while you're approaching an intersection, stop before entering the intersection if you can do so safely without causing a rear-end collision. If you are already in the intersection when the signal turns yellow, continue through the intersection, but it's not safe to
When you guys go to take your road test, the moment it turns yellow, the light turns yellow, they want you to come to a stop, all right? Now, because yellow means to slow down and come to a stop. It doesn't mean to speed up and go through the light. Now, I have to talk to my teens because every family is different. When it comes to my teens, now that they have their license, if the light turns yellow, if there's a car riding behind them too close, I don't want them slamming on their brakes. I rather them go ahead and go through the light so that they don't get hit. Again, that is a conversation that you need to have with your family. But as far as the test, the moment it turns yellow, you better come to a stop. Do not do what this van does.
Accelerate to get through an intersection before the signal turns from yellow to red. Other traffic may not see you in time to avoid a collision. But what about flashing signal lights? A flashing yellow light means that you need to slow down and proceed through the intersection with caution. Keep in mind that cross traffic may not stop even though they are supposed to. Always treat a flashing red light as a stop sign. Stop at the intersection and wait until there is an adequate break in traffic before entering the intersection. If the light is flashing red in all directions, treat it as an all-way stop sign.
So whenever you see a flashing a flashing red light, treat it like a stop sign. You're going to stop, you're going to look around, and then you're going to go forward.
If two or more drivers arrive simultaneously at an all-way stop sign, you must yield the right-of-way to the driver to your right.
Now, first, let me tell you the definition of right-of-way, okay? We're going to teach you what is going to help you pass, and then we're going to teach you in the real world. So, to pass the exam and to pass on the road, right-of-way. The definition of right-of-way is if all the cars come to the stop sign at the exact same time, you have to let the person to the right of you go first. So in this instance, green, red, and blue all stopped at the same time. So green says, I can't go because red is to the right of me. And red says, I can't go because blue is to the right of me. And blue says, well, looks like I can go because there's no one to the right of me. So blue is going to go.
If possible.
Then green says, I still can't go because red is to the right of me. And red says, well, I can go now because there's no one to the right of me. So red goes and then green goes. That is the answer for when you take your test. That is not how it works in real life. So now I'm going to tell you how it works in real life. In real life, no one ever stops at the stop sign at the exact same time, okay? And how we do it in real life is this car and this car, they go at the same time. And then this car and this car, they go at the same time. So these two go at the same time, and then these two go at the same time. Nowhere in the real world do we say, you go, you go, you go, you go, you go, you go, you go. It will be forever. So again, the answer for right-of-way is if everyone comes to the stop sign at the exact same time, the person to the right has to go first. If you don't have a car to the right of you, then you go, then the next person, then the next person. But again, in the real world, that's not how it works.
Establish eye contact with the other driver to communicate your intentions. If the intersection has no signs or the traffic control signal is not working, treat it as an all-way stop. Some traffic signals tell you when you may proceed in a specific direction. For example, if there is a red arrow or red light on the signal controlling your lane, you must stop even though traffic traveling in the same direction in the next lane may have a...
If we're making a left turn, even though the people next to us, their lights say green, they're going straight. But if we're making a left turn, we have to stop because our light is red.
Green signal. A green arrow on the signal tells you that you have a protected turn, and that
when your light is green and it's an arrow, it means you're protected. That means you can go. Go ahead and go. The people across from you will also be making a left turn, so they're not going to hit you. And then the people coming in this direction, going this way, sideways, they have a stop sign.
that opposing traffic has been signaled to not cross your path. If the green left turn arrow goes off and no red light or red arrow appears, You may still turn left, but you must now yield to opposing traffic. Look for a
All right, so now that this light is no longer green and it's not showing us to make that left turn, you now have to stop. You have to stop, okay? You have to stop and wait until there's a big enough gap for you to make that left turn without being hit.
safe opening to make your turn. Be sure that the light is still
Just like
green when you
this.
move into the intersection.
Now
but if
it's
the light
green.
turns yellow while you're in the
Now, here's the thing. You don't want to be waiting in the intersection to make your turn. You wait behind the line. Once you see that there's about to be a gap, then you can go forward. Also, while you're waiting, keep your steering wheel straight. Don't turn your wheels to the left because guess what? If someone hits you from the back and you have your wheel already turned, what direction do you think your car is going to go? It's going to go turn to the left when they hit you. And you don't want that because that's going to put you into traffic. You want to keep your wheel straight because if someone hits you, it's just going to hit you forward, not into traffic.
intersection, you're allowed to finish making your turn. Finally, if a police officer or crossing guard is present, their directions overrule the traffic signal.
Write this down and commence it to memory. This is going to be one of the questions we ask you. There are only 4 groups that can override traffic signs and traffic signals. The 4 groups are police officers, construction workers, emergency responders, and crossing guards. Police officers, emergency personnel, construction workers, and cross guards. Those 4 groups are the only groups that can say if the light is red, those 4 groups can tell you, come on, you can go through the red light. They're directing you, okay? So I don't want you to be like, Miss Washington said black, white, and red signs are regulatory signs, and I'm not supposed to break it. No. If a police officer, crossing guard, emergency personnel, or construction worker tells you to come on, they have authority to do so.
These general guidelines about traffic signals are always subject to local laws. Check the local ordinances for any variations in traffic laws. Be sure to stay alert for signal lights. They can make the difference between being involved in a crash and avoiding one. Lane markings or painted messages are the way streets communicate. There are 2 general rules about markings that tell you where you may and may not drive. The first rule is that white lines are on the right side of each traffic lane.
So I want you guys to remember this. White is to the right. Solid white lines are to the right. That is on your final exam. Solid white lines are to the right.
And yellow lines are on the left. The second rule is
Yellow lines are to the left. So whenever you are driving, you better keep the yellow line to the left of you. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. If I make a turn and I'm driving and the yellow line is to the right of my vehicle, what does that mean? It means I'm on the wrong side of the road. So whenever you're driving, make sure you keep that yellow line to the left of you.
solid or unbroken lines show you where you may not pass or change lanes. Dashed or broken lines indicate where you are permitted to pass or
All right, so remember, the color yellow represents cars are traveling in the opposite direction. So whenever you see yellow dashed lines, it means there are cars that are traveling in the opposite direction. You keep the yellow dash to the left of you. But because it's broken, it means if someone is driving slower than the speed limit in front of you, let's say the speed limit is 55 and they're driving 35, you can safely get into the opposite direction, increase your speed, pass them, and then get back over. You can't stay on this side because why? It represents cars going in the opposite direction. But this is letting you know that you're able to pass somebody who's going extremely slower than the speed limit.
change lanes. For example, on a 2-lane road, the solid white line to the right marks the edge of the roadway. The yellow line on the left separates you from oncoming traffic, but double solid yellow lines on your left means that it is not legal for either you or oncoming traffic to pass. If there is a dashed and solid line together and the dashed line is on your side of the road, you may pass traffic ahead of you if you can do so safely.
All right, the key word is do so safely. So you see how the dashed yellow lines are on our side? That means the person who's recording this, they're going slower than the speed limit. So this car safely is going around them and gets back over because yellow represents cars going in the opposite direction. Now here's a question for you to answer. Why is it that we have dashed yellow lines going down the hill, but as we're going up the hill, it's a solid yellow, meaning we can't cross over? At this moment, your instructor is going to pause the video and ask the question to see who can get this question correct. Again, why is it that we can pass going down the hill, but we can't pass going up the hill? At this moment, instructors, pause it to allow the time for your students to answer the question. The correct answer is because you can't see what's going on the other side of this hill. So it's dangerous. So that's why going down the hill, you can see, but as you're going up the hill, you don't know what's coming. And that's why you can't pass.
However, opposing traffic is not allowed to cross the solid line. A single dashed yellow line on the left means that both you and the opposing traffic may pass. If you decide to pass, be sure that you have enough room to pass safely. Dashed and solid lines are also used to indicate a shared left turn lane. These lanes allow you to make turns from either direction without holding up traffic behind you. Enter these lanes as
This is what a shared left turn lane looks like. It is a lane where you can get onto or off of a multi-lane road. So basically, you're getting out of the way so that other cars can continue to go straight while you're waiting for it to be clear for you to make that left turn.
close to your intended turn as possible. Never use a shared left turn lane as a through lane. On multi-lane roads with medians, broken white lines usually separate the lanes going in the same direction. A single solid white line is intended to discourage but not prohibit you from changing lanes. However, in some states, crossing a single solid white line is illegal.
So this just means you are committed to your lane. So whenever you see a solid white line on the left of you, it's usually when you need to merge onto a highway, merge onto another road. When it's a solid white line, they don't want you crossing over it because it may not be an ideal time for you to. So you want to wait until you see those dashes.
These very short dashed white lines indicate
Notice these dashes are longer and these are shorter. Shorter dashed lines mean this lane is about to end.
a merge lane. You may need to make a lane change to continue straight ahead. Short white lines like these guide you through large, complex intersections. In addition to lane markings, you'll also often see reflectors. These are especially helpful at night or any time when it is hard to see the edges of the road. Whether dashed or solid, yellow or white, lane markings can help you position your vehicle for maximum safety.
All right, and that is it. The reason why we will not continue, because what they're going to talk about now is highway signs. And we're not going to cover that on day 2 because highway signs has its own lesson, all right? We cover highway signs for its own lesson, so we don't like to be redundant. But again, that was signs, signals, and pavement markings.